Hey beautiful people, my name's Kristen. Thank you for stopping by my channel. I am going to share the things that I have been currently reading, the good, the bad, and I did do a reading of Shakespeare's play Taming of the Shrew and Anne Tyler's Vinegar Girl. I will leave a link to that video below if you are interested in that. But these are the other books that I have been reading this past month. And first I will get the bad and the, or not even bad, but the least good out of the way, because I think I can honestly say that I really super enjoyed almost everything I read. Now, Robert Jordan's The Path of Daggers. This is book 8. This is definitely where the majority of fans will say this is the slump of the Wheel of Time. I get why they say that. I do not think that this is all needed. But I did appreciate some of the little things that were going on, and I'm enjoying the story overall, and I'm going to continue on the path. I do, my only comment would be like, didn't he have an editor? I mean, couldn't somebody have helped him understand that some of that was just not needed and it would be much better without it? I don't know. Let's go on to the really good. So, a 5-star classic. Totally loved it. That would be Nella Larsen's Passing. I did read this with Angelina from Read and Reread. I will leave her channel below, and it was awesome, especially reading it with somebody else, because you would get very excited and thoughtful about so much of this book. So it's a fairly quick little book, but it packs so much thought into it. It is the story of particularly 2 women who are born with mixed race, right? So technically in the days of the 1920s, any black in your history and ancestry, you are deemed black. But of course, because life, there was a lot of opportunity for them, the lighter skinned women, to pass themselves as a white woman. And unfortunately, the history just created these unfair opportunities and temptations to be part of this world. But the consequence of that is that you would have to surrender some of your identity, and you would have to kind of live moments of lies. And so this was 2 childhood friends. One decides that they're going to pass as a white woman to live her life, doesn't even tell her white husband, and the other marries a black man, has mixed race children, continues on in the black culture. And so they keep interacting in each other's lives. They're both struggling with what does their identity mean, what does race mean, what does their choice versus this other person's choice. They're drawn and long to understand the other one and the other's experience, but there is no perfect answer. There is no perfect world because of the situations and things that happen. And it just gets so creative and so suspenseful, and the retelling of their background and their past and then going into their future is just really well done. And her phrasing of the way her characters would think in their minds, like they would ponder these large questions and leave it hanging for you, the reader, to go, how do you reconcile or solve that kind of dilemma? And it was awesome. I just totally love it. Highly recommend it. Great short classic. My nonfiction read that was picked for me was Finding God in the Lord of the Rings by Bruner and Ware. So this is also a short little nonfiction read that goes through. Now, Tolkien did not write the Lord of the Rings as a religious analogy or to even make strong religious points, but having a man of faith and belief in his Christian upbringing, you definitely feel the trends going along. So this documents and goes through, which I highly agree with. And one of the key points that I really resonated with in this was our sense of spiritual longing. And this is so prevalent if you've read Lord of the Rings. Like right from the beginning, there's people that just know the world is unsettled. They know the darkness has creeped in. They know that the turning has happened. They know that evil is coming, and they long for the goodness. They long for the restoration. They long for making it right. And that's also the Christian story. And so that things like that just really, really resonated my soul, and I just really enjoyed the thought process and the way that this was written out. And you could even do this as a group study guide if you wanted to. You could read the Bible, read Lord of the Rings. It would be kind of fun. I mean, I did do a study once called Walking with Frodo. I can try to find it and leave a link below. It actually was legitly like you read Tolkien and go through the Bible. So I also, for work, was required to read the book Play. This is by Stuart Brown, and this is a book that talks about the development of young children and connecting the dots and the processes. And basically, it's a huge advocate message of we need play in order to become really good problem solvers. Like when you are playing and you're just tossing balls, or you're just working out this puzzle, or you are constructing with Lincoln logs or whatever it is, and it doesn't stand up, it doesn't go where you kicked it, it doesn't, you're like, and you learn through this process. So it's not just playing around or doing nothing. We are actually developing our minds and our imaginations, our creativity, and particularly our problem solving. And I really appreciate that, because I totally believe in that. I totally believe that adults should have more time just to play, and that it's not a waste of time, that it actually helps us figure things out and figure life out. And if nothing else, relieve a little stress. So this was a really good book. I have a staff meeting where we have to discuss it, and I haven't gotten there yet. So if I have any other really good points from that, I may pop on and do a short, or come back with a further vlog on that with other interesting points, because it really was an interesting book. Then moving into some other really fantastic fiction that I have been reading. I did read Sally Hepworth's The Good Sister. This is the story of two sisters. One has some learning disabilities. She's an adult now, working in a library. She idolizes her sister, who seems like she has it all together and has always kind of looked out for her. And the older sister can't have children. So Fern, the younger one, the librarian, says, I'm going to help my sister and be a good sister and have this child. But then the way she goes about it, the family secrets start coming out. Nothing is the way you think it is. It is a brilliant, fun ride. It just really was great. If you like any type of like family drama, I don't think it was super like messy or emotional. So I think that was okay. It was more like a lot of manipulation and twists and background of what had really happened and how that affects us in the family dynamic. That was really what it was about. Then I listened to another 5-star book, Liane Moriarty's The Last Anniversary. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about this, so I want to spend a couple minutes explaining my take on this. So Big Little Lies was actually the first Liane Moriarty book that I read, and it still to this day is one of probably my top 10 favorite fiction books. It was just so connecting to me, as far as a good mix of humor and dealing with some serious, more heavy issues, but then also being really interesting in its choices of what was happening. Like, okay, this is completely unrealistic and you have to completely let this go, as this would never actually be going along like this in real life, mixed with a bunch of one-liners that you could totally take out of context and just be like hysterical, with characters that you actually care about. But then there's a heavy topic, right? So in Big Little Lies, it's the domestic abuse. In The Last Anniversary, there's also a big family drama. It is set on an island where years ago there was a mysterious family that disappeared under weird circumstances, the husband and wife, and left behind their infant daughter. And so this infant daughter has been raised by this other family on the island, and now this family gives tours of the abandoned house, and they recreate it with the cake that was baking in the oven and all these kind of weird things. And supposedly people all come and flock because it's a beautiful island. You can relax and kind of have a resort getaway kind of thing on an island, and you can take a tour of this mysterious story, right? So this is where you have to suspend disbelief a little bit, because you're like going, there's a couple plot holes in that, but just go with it. Just go with it. And then you get all the fun, quirky characters. You get all the cute little one-liners, all that quippiness. I also loved Big Little Lies because it starts out mentioning there was an incident, and then it goes kind of backwards in time, leading back up to the incident, so you're figuring it out. And this is also like that. You are trying to solve, in this case, the incident is a missing baby, or not a missing baby, excuse me, the missing parents abandoning the baby. And so we actually meet the baby, we find out the different family members, who's doing what. And the thing is, of course, everybody, of course, has a secret or something they're not fully telling the truth on. And it's just a lot of fun if you can just set aside, the crazy parts and just say, okay, I'll accept that. It's a really, really fun ride. And it was exactly that Big Little Lies flavor that I was looking at. I've read several other of her books that were good, but they weren't the same kind of flavor and experience, and this one was. I totally recommend it. As long as you know that's what you're getting into and that's what you're in the mood for, I say this one delivers. So those are my reviews that I have been reading lately and just been having such a good time with. What are you reading? Have you read any of these? Do you want to read any of these now that I talked about them? Leave me a comment below. If you like this, like and subscribe. Hope to see you again soon. Happy reading, y'all. Take care.